explain what the issues are and why you don't necessarily see them more often. So if you're starting the bow and arrow beat, it gets up to there, right? And now it starts to finish the choke. So you're gonna pull back. There you go. See this space? Everybody sees this space, right? Now, depending on how good you are at choking someone, it's gonna take you anywhere from a couple to 30 seconds before they go unconscious. Right now, his structure is compromised. Because his arm is straight, as he pulls away more and more, this becomes more and more of a lever, right? So if I get my hand in here, I get to act on that lever and I get to attempt an escape. Now, when you're gonna see this done successfully at the high level, frankly, just because by the time you get your black belt, you've got pretty insanely strong grips, pretty good at strangling people. So you can do I'll break for a second. Conceptually, you can do something like, jiu-jitsu is pretty great. I'm going to steal a line from Ryan Hall, in that even if you fuck it up, it works pretty well. Right? Like you can do a technique 50% wrong in jiu-jitsu, and it'll still function a lot of the time, which you can't say for any other martial art. Like imagine if you throw a punch 50% wrong, like your knuckles roll mangled out, you break your hand instantly. But you can do a choke like pretty sloppy and still make someone pass out, just because the inherent mechanical advantage of it all is there. But as you get better and better, people are able to exploit smaller and smaller errors. So something that is not a mistake at white belt or blue belt or even purple belt starts to become a mistake at the higher belts. And our philosophy in my academy is from day one, I'm training you to beat black belts. There's no I'm gonna show you this move that works on white belts, and then when you get your blue belt, hey man, by the way, no, don't do that anymore. That's that's a low rank. Let me show you something that works, and then so on and so on. So you don't have to unlearn anything. When you get the harness, it's like day one, it's got to be perfect. So with the bow and arrow choke, there are a couple of details that really help me. I didn't come up with this or anything. I'm totally stealing information here, but instead of pulling back like so, where if it does get that arm, it's more getting this arm inside here. And now you can pull out. Now there is a follow-up armbar I can do, but before we get to that, what I would want to do with my rear naked choke, my bow and arrow choke is, I'll get my grip, and we'll discuss the details on the grip in a second. But when I get to here, that's my choke. Now try pulling my elbow out. There's nothing there. All I'm doing is taking that lever that existed before and eliminating it. It's just not there. So now I've got proper alignment. Every choke, fundamentally, is a triangle. Every good choke. Like you can do chokes, like I said, a little bit wrong. Like the rear naked choke is a perfect example of that. I can do a rear naked choke like this, and I'm still gonna strangle someone. Like that's fine. But one, I'm on his windpipe a lot, and chokes are denying blood flow to the brain. They're not cutting off. A lot of people don't understand this actually. They think it's cutting off air. It's not. If I choke you properly, you can breathe, but you're undergoing what's called hypoxia, which is denial of oxygen to the brain through the carotid arteries. So to cut those off, there's two of them, by the way. They're on just like the side and the side here, on the side of the windpipe. I want to create a triangle, a V shape. So now I'm cutting off blood flow properly. With the gi choke, a lot of people don't understand this. They think you're like wrapping the gi around their neck, which is not usually true. There's conceptually two types of gi chokes. There's a couple of exceptions to this, but there are basically cross chokes and loop chokes. Everything is a variation off that. With cross chokes, I'm using the gi as an anchor point and making the triangle. With loop chokes, I'm making triangles sort of with my hands, my forearms, my wrists. With loop chokes, which the bow and arrow is a type of loop choke. I'm using the side of the gi on these arteries, and I'm using my forearm on these arteries. So oftentimes you can actually go way too deep with this and just end up on the windpipe. So you want a tiny bit of slack, collar turned out, right there. You can see these arteries are covered, these arteries are covered. Now I've got everything else in. I frankly don't care what version of this you use, it's kind of like whatever you can get. But now, because I'm still close to you, as I start my choke, I've got so much more mechanical advantage. I'm using a row, and I'm using, so if we go back to the triangle concept, the third part of the triangle is a backstop. It's what pressures you into the choke. If I'm doing this, there's no backstop. Your neck is free to move, and you can maybe find your way out, or maybe you can survive a little bit longer. So just because the technique works, and I'm not saying that for version, that totally works, but there's a little bit of improvement you can make by adding this backstop concept here. My shoulder is driving in, and I'm just pulling my elbow closed with my row. This concept exists everywhere. Like, we do a lot of work with chokes at my academy for you to be on your side. Just to illustrate this triangle concept, I really want to put it into your brain, because once you have it, you'll be able to figure out other chokes better. Like if you're having trouble with a leg triangle or an arm triangle or a bravo or darce, whatever you call it, you can start to figure out, oh, that's why I couldn't get it. So with the arm triangle, commonly you'll see people emphasize the elbow being pushed across, which is fine, it's not wrong, but if you go up against kind of skinnier people, pushing their arm across actually misses the artery. What you're looking for is, so in this case, my bicep is one part of the triangle, my forearm here is the backstop, his shoulder is the third part of the triangle. If I push it across, I'll probably choke him. But if I bring his shoulder up and into his neck, I'll choke him much better, I'll create a tighter triangle. So I can come here, and you can do it with one. That's just to illustrate how effective the mechanic is. You don't need to connect your hands when you're doing this, especially when you're demonstrating. And in class, I require all my students to finish the arm triangle in rolling with one hand. You're not allowed to close your hands. Because if you have to close your hands, it shows you don't understand the technique correctly. Once you get in a dominant position, it's just this. That's all that's necessary. Leg triangle is a similar thing. Most of the time you see this emphasized, and again, this is not wrong because like the power of my legs is going to make this work. But his elbow can be all the way up here, and I can still choke him even without closing my legs because I rotated his shoulder into his neck. That's the crucial part of any arm in type choke. It's not this. This is an illusion. It's this. If my elbow's out here, it doesn't matter. I can still be choked because my shoulder is including the artery. Everyone's with me? So every single choke you do, whether it's a rear naked choke, guillotine, like the reason the guillotine has improved so much in the last few years, like I don't know if you guys all remember about 10 years ago, the guillotine was a big guy. It was like, that's the only way you finish the guillotine. Now it's like, if I go to guillotine, all on my side, just sit here and hang out and relax. I can have a conversation with you. I'm still gonna choke the crap out of you. I don't have to freak out. And that's, well, thank Marcelo Garcia for that, is that he altered the guillotine so that it's now a proper triangle with this motion instead of raising your forearm up against the windpipe. So every single choke you do, if you follow that concept, it's just going to be much more efficient. You figure it out with the darce. Man, why is a lot of guys just sprawl on the darce? And it works because they're big. But if you're a smaller guy, you got to do this. You got to rotate because that turns the shoulder into the neck. And like I said, this exists for every single choke. It's fundamentally a triangle, and it needs to get narrower and tighter in 3 dimensions. Everyone's kind of with me? I know I really went on a tangent there, but if you go back to what I was originally saying, with the bow and arrow, it's here, and now I close my elbow, and I project my shoulder forward. All right, so try to add that in and see if it works for you.